how do you think Chani will describe Zendaya?
Oh.
There's something happening to me. There's something awakening in my mind. I can't control it. What did you see?
Oscar Isaac Duke Leto says one of my favorite quotes in this movie, and it's a great man doesn't seek to lead, he's called to it. And for me, a director is a leader in so many ways. So I would like to know about your philosophy, or what is for you being a leader in the set, considering this quote?
Good question, thank you. I will say that for me, the way as a man, I will say that I'm a father. I'm supposed to be the one, I'm supposed to be the adult in the room. I'm supposed to be the one that is there to guide. I'm supposed to be the one that is there to listen and to bring together and try to bring the best out of everybody and keep the discipline, artistic discipline, and direct everybody. But there's something that needs to be done with love. So that's why I love the idea, the figure of the father on set. Yeah, that I would say that's the way I see it.
Timothée, Dune was way ahead of its time in so many ways. You know, the author depicted our relationship with nature, exploitation, slavery, politics, leadership, imagination. It is a massive work, but I think this Dune is fair with the greatness of the book. So do you think this movie could talk in the future the way the novel is to us to this day? I'm pretty sure that we talk about this Dune and your Paul forever. So what do you think?
Wow, that is thank you for saying that. Thank you for enthusiasm. That means a lot. You know, this book has remained formative, so much so that we got a chance to make it in 2019, 20, yeah, 21. You know, we were doing an interview yesterday. Javier Bardem was speaking to it. I think the fact that this book was written in the 60s, but so much has remained true. The sort of premonition that Frank Herbert had that the environment was going to get so bad as a result of greed, as a result of the overexploitation of the environment, that our institutions, our systems of governance, our trust of governance, you know, would erode. That was way ahead of its time. I think also, you know, just in Denis' adaptation, the emphasis he has on the power of femininity, to put it is not necessarily the accurate way to put it, but just the strength of the Bene Gesserit, the strength of Lady Jessica, the total strength of Chani that we see at the end. That's true in the book too, and I think an argument can be made there as well that was a bit ahead of its time. So I think there was much at play that as you put it, you know, thematically, the echoes of colonialism we feel on Dune that are lining up in a moment globally where people are confronting their nation's past, or what that means to live in places where oppression and exploitation from oppression is part of the national thread work. These are things that are relevant. And I think, as Zendaya said in the interview we just did, it's now beautifully said, it's like this movie, it's disguised as entertainment. It's disguised as entertainment because what it's getting at, like the book, it's way bigger than an individual performance or our performance or all of us. You know, it's the conversations it can spark, hopefully.
Rebecca, the Lady Jessica from the book, mixed with your Jessica, for me, creates the most powerful character in this story for one reason. She's so conscious of her power as a Bene Gesserit, as a mother, as a warrior, and as a woman, and she's so responsible for this power that she's capable of leading the leader, you know? She helps to give shape to the future Messiah. And that for me is amazing. It's great.
Would you like to speak for me in future? Because that summed it up. You did that very, very well. I agree with you. I mean, not the compliment to myself that I did it well, but the way that you formulated that was exquisite. I will take that to my other interview. Thank you. It is true. My point is, I haven't myself thought about the fact that she, with knowledge, activates whatever she needs to activate for whatever purpose she needs to do it. I've always thought it as just a necessity, but no, that is one of the true powers, isn't it? the fact that her stillness allows her to be able to activate with a reason and with a focus, even though she can kill everyone.
Will you protect Paul?
With my life.
Since this adaptation was announced, I thought about how the author described Baron Harkonnen in the book and how he was depicted in the 80s adaptation. You know, in the book, he desires Paul because he's young and beautiful. And in Lynch movie in the 80s, he is a queer character. And I was thinking about the stereotype, but the reality is that this movie takes the character up to a new level. So what do you think about the difference between the Baron in the book, in the adaptation from the 80s, and in this movie that I think is the greatest?
I think the sort of the homophobic part of the book is something that belongs to that time, and I don't think it adds anything. I mean, in a way, you could say that we've done it purer. He doesn't have to have a lot of flaws or a lot of weirdness to him. It's just who he is, and that's enough. It's bad enough. And getting into his sexual preferences, I don't find very interesting.
Josh, Gurney Halleck is loyal to the House Atreides, and in the book, we understand that he follows Duke Leto because he is a great leader. He has this consciousness that a leader must inspire, not command. And for me, a director is a leader. So as an actor, how did Denis inspire you to follow his vision of Dune?
Well, I cheated because I did another movie with him, you know, so it was immediate for me. And we've stayed close throughout. And I've enjoyed his movies very much. Yeah, I mean, I like the parallel that you make because it's leadership, and what kind of leader do you want to follow? Do you want to follow somebody, if you parallel it, the Harkonnens, who have a covert, kind of insidious way about them? And the thing with Duke Leto is he wears his heart on his sleeve. He does have morals. He does have honor. He does have, you know, and that's ultimately the person. Even if they lead with a lead hand, you want that to be the case as the result. And I think that the same goes with Denis. Is he's very sensitive. He's but he's also, you are following his vision. He is the director, and I always have respect for that. Unless you lose respect for the director, then you start to take over that role yourself, and then it becomes a great confusion and doesn't normally turn out well. So with that amount of trust with Denis, you get this kind of result.
Smile, Gurney.
I am smiling.
We know that Frank Herbert's Dune is the most influential novel in the sci-fi genre, and it's so iconic that so many pop culture elements came from his story. It has been very significant. But have you ever think about the future and think about Denis Villeneuve as an influential, iconic, and determining director in the story of cinema? And I'm not talking about 60 years from now. I'm talking after the Dune release. What do you expect from the people to talk about this movie and about yourself?
Madame, it's a difficult question I cannot answer. I will say that because I cannot put that pressure, or I cannot think about myself like that. But I can hope that the one thing very ambitious. I have hope that the movie will participate with other movies to bring back the desire to go back in theaters. Okay. I hope that there will be in different countries enough safety so people can go safely into theaters again, and that Dune with the other movies will be part of a movement where people will finally have the chance to go back in theaters. I hope that we will have that chance. Yeah, that's what it is.
Only together can we stand a chance.
Zendaya, you have talked and described Chani in the past, and you have said that she is a warrior, that she's a fighter. We know that she respects tradition, fights for honor in the name of the Fremen. But how do you think Chani will describe Zendaya?
I mean, I would hope to win Chinese respect. I think she's not one to give it out easily, and that's what I respect about her. You know, again, there's a high, I think with the Fremen people, you know, in general, there's this idea of protection, of tradition, and like there's this very strong culture within them. And apparently in order to get even in there, you have to kill somebody. So I don't think I want to do that.
No?
Right? You
No.
know, I don't know if Life for Life is really, you know, I don't think I can fight like she can fight. I probably wouldn't win. But I do have a amount of respect for her as a character. So I sure hope that I would do her proud and make her, hopefully she would be, have some respect for me as well. So that's my life goal now, is to hopefully make Shani respect me. Yeah.
I know you. There's something awakening in my mind.
Javier Stilgar is the leader of the Fremen, this marginated community that lives in the middle of the desert, and they believe that a messiah is coming, and this guy looks like Paul Atreides. But do you think we need to talk about the white saviors concept, or we need to understand that this is an adaptation from a novel from the 60s, and now everything is different? We can see that kind of things. But what do you think about? I think the Fremen doesn't need a messiah. They are the greatest community in the Dune universe. So what do you think about that?
Well, that's your opinion, and it's a good opinion, very respectable. I think that Fremen, they are all based on a very strong religious beliefs, and in that sense, a messiah means a savior. Whether he's white, black, blue, or green, doesn't matter. It's somebody that has been chosen without him wanting it to be chosen. And what my character needs to do is to really understand if that is true. Yes. And that will be something to be seen on the second part, if there is such a thing. Hopefully there will be, where he has to go through many stages of wisdom and knowledge and skills to show and makes us aware that he is really the chosen one. But it's not different for any other savior from any other culture. It's just a religious belief on how those beliefs can really create a chaos and fanatism.
Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake.
Jason, Duncan Idaho is one of my favorite characters, for real, because he is not only the greatest warrior inside and outside the House Atreides, but it's my favorite character because he is the first to understand what they need to succeed in Dune. And the answer is to embrace and respect Fremen's tradition, history, and territory. And your character is the crucial part for the story of Dune, for the beginning of everything. So I would like to know, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's an honor to even be chosen to play this. I think Denis is he's my favorite director of all time. And the fact that he called me to play Duncan Idaho without having to go up against so many great actors, that he had his vision and he wanted to choose you. Duncan is the first time I've ever played anyone that's a knight. I always play these warriors, but I never play anyone that's like selfless.
Yeah.
I play selfish warriors. I play kings and, renegades and rogue warriors and bad guys, but I never play someone who's absolutely selfless in the sense that it's not his.
Yeah.
So just being a true knight or a true samurai that serves the house is really fun. But I mean, I do that for my family. Other roles I've played where I do that for my family, but this isn't. This is just truly being a soldier and giving your world over to belief. And it was beautiful to be able to play that.
A great man doesn't seek to lead.
He's called to it.
Rebecca, in the last years, women writers and filmmakers and female characters are rising in the very male-dominated genre of science fiction and fantasy. Lisa Joy is so good, you know that. Claire Denis, I'm thinking about the trilogy, the last trilogy in the Star Wars, the main character in Arrival by Denis Villeneuve, Mad Max, and I believe Dune with Lady Jessica and Chani wouldn't be the exception to the idea that women can change the future. And that's what I think it's exciting and necessary Dune Part 2. But what do you think about that?
Do you know the worst thing is? People like you, we need to have exquisite conversations, you know, interviews like this when we have 2 minutes, when we can change the world. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, we need journalists like you to put your voice out. We need people like us to want to tell these stories. We want directors like Denis, who doesn't shy away from the necessity of equality. We need writers like Eric. We need all of this. We need the generosity of everyone to create a world which is fucking equal. You know, but I agree with you, we're getting there. It's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the project and with Denis.
I love it. The thing is that for me, it's one of my favorite things. When we started the adaptation of the movie, Eric Roth asked me, Eric was the first one that would put his hands on the keyboard, try to crack the novel. And he said to me, if there's one element, if there's one thing that you would like me to focus on, what will be the thing, the key to open? And I said, women. I think that they are one of the most important. There's something, I know that Frank Herbert was fascinated by this idea of the Bene Gesserit, and I thought that it's at the very center of the novel, and I think that we should put the focus on it more than anything else. There's a lot of different school in the novel. There's a lot of elements. There's lots of different tribes, families, but I said that the Bene Gesserit, the congregation of women, should be at the very forefront and the center of the story. And Lady Jessica should be beside Paul. We are following Paul's journey, but we are following Paul's journey being in relationship with his mother that is just beside him. And I would like her to be complex, to be fully represented in the movie. So for me, Lady Jessica is by far the most fascinating and complex character in the movie and in the novel, and I really wanted her to honor that character, and I'm happy that you thought that she is so right now.
This is an extermination. They're picking my family off one by one.
Let's fight like demons.